Okay.
Hey baby! Recently I've been getting a lot of requests for my gumbo recipe, and as you know I have a family recipe that I can't share with you guys because I don't want to get in trouble. So the Robinator and I have developed a gumbo recipe that we think is very, very good. As a matter of fact, when we compare it with the gumbo recipe that I have that is very time consuming, the taste is pretty minimal, which makes me wonder why all these years I've been making it the time consuming way. So that said, you know, at the risk of my grandmother being annoyed with me, I have a very simple Creole gumbo recipe that I'd like to share with you, and I think you'll like it. Smooches! One of the things that I find most helpful in keeping my kitchen clean when I'm cooking is that I find that I have like lots of ends and pieces when I'm doing my prep work for getting my seasonings and all of the ingredients together. Now whereas I do have one of the garbage cans where you just step on and the lid opens up, I find that it's just a little bit annoying to just keep going back and forth. So as you can see, I have a very small kitchen and it won't take long at all before it gets all messed up. So one of the things that I do is I take a bowl and put a plastic bag that you get from the grocery store inside of the bowl, and that's where I put in all of my pieces. You see I have some onions in here, some celery pieces, and I just set it right there in the sink in my prep area. So what I do is cut off my ends, toss, cut off my ends, toss, and then when I'm finished, take the bag, drop it in the garbage can. Done. This is all of the chicken that we're going to use, chicken breasts. You notice I have 2 full breasts of chicken here, which would be, you know, 4 chicken breasts, I guess you'd say, if you were to buy from the regular grocery store. I buy mine, it's free range from the Amish market. Before I dice these up, I'm going to dice them up in, you know, a little less than an inch size dices. I want to make sure that my knife is exactly as it, you know, it needs to be. Okay, so these are Wusthof knives. You can get them pretty much anywhere, and you just take it and score it a few times across the sharpener, and it should be fine.
Okay. Here
we have all of the basic ingredients that we're going to need to make this gumbo. First, we have what we in Louisiana call our seasonings. In here, there are 2 medium diced onions. There's about 6 stalks of celery cut up, and 1 large green bell pepper that's cut up. This is my chicken breast that's been diced and lightly seasoned using Tony Sasseries or TSAT, that's what we call it. Here we have 2 pounds of shrimp that have been cleaned and deveined, 1.5 pounds of sausage, 1 pound of lump white crab meat, and a bunch of green onions. The tools that you need in order to make a good roux are a good long-handled wooden spoon. It needs to be long enough to be taller than the pot so you don't have your hand inside the pot, because sometimes the roux can pop up and you get what we call affectionately roux blisters, which is a sign of a not so great roux maker actually, because they don't have the right tools. You see I have my seasonings here next to the pot. I have my 3/4 cup of flour, and in here I have a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil already. I'm making a very dark roux because it's kind of like a simple country style version of gumbo. And the most important thing, since we'll be stirring for a very long time, is my glass of wine. Kinda need that to make the roux, baby. Alright, so we're gonna turn it on high heat. We have the oil going. I'm going to put the flour in, and then we start stirring to blend the flour and the oil. Now as you're blending, you're making sure that you're getting rid of any lumps, and make sure that you're incorporating all of the flour into the oil. The color that we're going for is a very dark roux that will look like that dark chocolate. Maybe like, you know, 60% dark chocolate or more. That's the color we're shooting for with this roux. Why we're going to have it for that long is because we're not putting stuff in here like smoked meats and stuff like that. Another thing about this particular gumbo recipe is that it's pretty healthy actually, in that there's not a lot of, you know, saturated fats or oils and things like that. I mean, of course, we have to use vegetable oil to make the roux because, to be honest, I've never ever felt that any other oil can be done well. And I did practice with a couple of different ones, but no dice. This is the color it's supposed to be with constant stirring. If you think it looks like it's not a lot, it's only because of the size of this pot. This is a really big gumbo pot. So now what we have to do is immediately put in all of our seasonings. And you stir it up well. And we're going to have to cook this for about 10 minutes until all of the seasoning is really, really soft. This is what it looks like after about 9 minutes. Remember, you have to constantly stir it because you're still over pretty high heat. I've added in my 5 bay leaves, and after 1 more minute, my next steps will be add my chicken broth, my thyme, a few more seasonings, and get it all blended in pretty well. Okay, I'll just put a little tea set in there, and this is tea set, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. I order it by the case from TonyChachere's.com because I can't find it anywhere out here, and I need it to cook with. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Our chicken broth in here. It has all of our seasonings and our roux cooked down really well. I've already added my garlic and my thyme, and I've seasoned it with the peppers and stuff so far. So now I'm going to put in the chicken breast. I'm going to let that cook on high heat and try and bring it close to a boil before I add anything else in, just to give the chicken time enough to cook pretty well. 50 minutes now with just the chicken and the sausage. Man, it smells so good. Alright, so after about 10 minutes, that's when we're going to add in the shrimp and the crab and the tomatoes. We're almost finished, people. Okay, the gumbo has been cooking now for about an hour with only the chicken and sausage in it. So now it's cooked down, you know, really good, and that is when we put in our shrimp, our crab, and our Rotel diced tomatoes and green chilies. We'd use 2 cans of these. Add our shrimp, crab, and tomatoes in. We're going to let it cook for 20 minutes on medium-high heat. Then we're going to turn it off, put the top on it, and just let it sit for about 30 minutes. And you're going to have a fabulous pot of gumbo. And this is what it's going to look like. You know what? Oh, you don't even need to make this. It ain't even good. Matter of fact, just delete the video. You don't want any of this.